This part is getting a little bit doxy, so I don't think we should include.
No. Nothing I said, nothing we said up until now is going to make it in. Yeah.
Well, we'll start the episode.
We'll start with, wow, that was a lot of dox stuff, which we're not keeping in.
Right? Yeah. Hey, actually, you guys, did you guys see Mugen Train, the Kimetsu no Yaiba movie?
No, I haven't even watched the series.
Oh, you should. It's actually really good. I watched it last night.
Weeb is showing.
It's funny. I said to my wife today, because we started watching it last night, and then we finished it this morning. I took today off. And I said to her, I'm not like the typical, fat white guy who moves to Japan, because I don't really like anime, but this is a good anime.
So you just removed one of a checklist items.
Yeah. So I guess just for that particular series, I like it. So
I mean, I think everyone who comes here is a little bit of a weeb. Everyone wants to say, I'm a foreigner, but I'm not that kind of foreigner. But everyone kind of like secretly likes Cowboy Bebop and shit.
No, I can confidently say I'm not. I've read one manga, and that was about 5 pages of Berserk.
But Berserk's great.
Yeah.
I do not like Cowboy Bebop. I saw it. I saw the first 2 episodes. I was like, this is kind of weird. And then in college, my roommate was like, look, I got it all on DVD. This is before Blu-ray. He goes, I got it all on DVD. Watch the whole thing. So I watched the whole thing, and I was still like, nah, I don't like it.
So, to our Discord, direct all of your hate and ire towards Jay.
The music was great.
Okay, fine.
But
okay. I like how I said, all right, you're going to get harangued by our Discord, and it's like, oh, no, one positive.
But, yeah, admittedly, objectively, guys, the music in it is very good.
It is.
I didn't really like the main character, and I didn't like how it ended, so I was just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really into the anime and games, which is disappointing, because I was looking forward to, with your huge drop of weight, you cosplaying as Tifa Lockhart this year for Halloween.
Yeah, that would be fun. But like you and Cam used to talk about Robotech. I've never even I couldn't name a character. I don't know.
This is 80s kind of stuff, and we both grew up in Australia where they're playing a morning cartoon kind of thing.
On Cartoon Network, they had like Gundam Wing and Gundam whatever. I never got into that. Like, I was just like, wow, I couldn't care less about this. This is like the dumbest TV show I've ever seen. I'll get a lot of hate for that, but I mean, I couldn't do it.
You're officially not an anime fan, and good thing, because it means you're not a deviant.
I'm a deviant in different ways. But, like, Evangelion, I saw here. I really enjoyed that. And then, what was the one, the guys, they had Naked Beach and the cloth. Fuck, I gotta look it up. The girl with the huge scissors.
I don't know, but I'm interested.
Kill la Kill.
Kill la Kill, yes. I really enjoyed that anime. That was really good until
because of the titties.
Yeah, there was I guess I call it service or whatever. That was really good until the end, and then it was like, oh, now the bad spoiler alert. Now the bad guys are on your side. It's like, fuck this shit. So like, I like the entire.
I'm still stuck on you saying you're a deviant in different ways, and if the audience wants to look it up, there was this like early 2000s porno guy called The Minion, and I don't know if you remember this. Yeah, Google it on your phone now and yell at me while I'm explaining it. It was The Minion. Just say The Minion food porn. Just Google it
Why
right
is
now.
It food porn?
Nick, I love your catalogue of knowledge. It's just...
Well, it was a big fat hairy guy who would rub himself in food and have sex with tiny women.
Go on.
That's the entire premise.
Okay. So I have something called The Minion Fat Guy Fuck Bitches and Love Food 03 Porn Video N9284282.
Yep, that's basically it. I'm sending you a screenshot.
No. I'm looking at it right now. Don't do that.
Well, I'm sending it to our line group anyway.
Good. Look
And I'm
forward
going to have
that.
to delete that from Google Photos and Apple Photo backup later. You always have to delete both.
Right.
So wait,
Well,
did he take the money shot, or is that food?
No, well, he'd be rubbing himself in, like, you know, all kinds of food and just absolutely...
So like donut frosting.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the subtitles here. He's the man in charge. You're nobody till you've been fucked by him.
Pure sexual
pimp.
evil.
Yeah.
So, okay, so he's like dead now, right?
I'd like to Google it. I haven't heard from him in a while, but if you just go through Google Photos, there is some pure degeneracy here.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We'll miss that one. But thank you, Nick, for the recommendation.
Yeah.
We can always count on you.
Well, that's a good cold open.
Yeah. This is the King of Kanto, episode 44. Episodio Yanju Yanban, ne? What up, Kings?
No, as you mentioned, you're half as strong in. After hearing myself on previous episodes, I've decided not to have whiskey anymore, just because of the clank clank of the ice.
You don't drink your whiskey straight?
I usually do after the first. I put in like one, let it melt a bit, and go from there.
Now, I had whiskey stones, and I have to say, it was like the best $30 I ever spent.
No, the cool water, I think, makes it taste a little bit better after a while. Like, you don't just dump in 10 ice blocks and go from there. You just put in like one or two, let it melt a bit. And it's kind of nice, cold, a little bit diluted. So, you know, I'll probably be called a Philistine sometime this week for it. But generally, that's kind of how I prefer it. Either that or a dash of water.
Greg, how do you drink your whiskey?
Either a single ice cube or a couple of drops of pipettes of water, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good whiskey is better with a little bit of water.
Exactly.
Oh, you guys are drinking good whiskey.
Yeah, good whiskey.
No, man, I'm on the Akashi Red, 700 yen a bottle.
Speaking of which, okay, the weirdest thing, right? So, I'm into my whiskey. Dad as well. Go around a lot of the distilleries up around Scotland. Mm-hmm. It's cheaper to buy whiskey in Japan than it is to go to the distillery and buy it from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that. Just for taxation here is so much lower.
It was crazy. Like I went up to the Oban distillery, amazing distillery, amazing place if anyone is in and around Scotland. Got a bottle there, thinking, oh yeah, great bargain. Came back, went to one of the shops down in Kabukicho. About
much cheaper,
1,000 yen cheaper.
So Australia actually has a pretty burgeoning local whiskey industry, mostly down in Tasmania, because I think it's pretty similar climates to Scotland. So it's rapidly coming up, and Sullivan's Cove whiskey has won, you know, multiple times, you know, best single malt in the world, and it's just been absolutely kicking ass. It's about $400 a bottle. Ooh. So yeah,
God damn.
Yeah, it's even after all of the taxes, taking into account the branding, everything like that. And because Australia's whiskey industry is so new, we just don't have that depth of supply. So it's really in demand at the moment.
It's difficult to get, yeah.
Whereas here, you can just go to the Yamazaki or Vinica distilleries, and you can just buy it straight there.
Hakushu's a decent trip out.
I actually haven't been.
Distillery. Lovely. Just past Kofu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a pain. You have to take a taxi from the train station.
Is it a Shink station or?
No. There's no Shinkansen that runs sort of. It's that line up towards Matsumoto, where there's no Shinkansen. You've just got the limited express up past there. and then you get off. I can't remember the name of the station, but begins with. I keep thinking Kasumigaseki, but that's right in the middle of Tokyo.
That's downtown, yeah.
I think there's a lot of Kasumigasekis around.
Yeah, it's definitely not that, but no, lovely. Like in the foothills of, is it Kaikomagatake? Like right in the middle of a forest. Lovely area. And yeah, just great day out.
Kind of summertime trip if you're into hiking, or.
Probably not. It's a bit of a pain, like to get to. I mean, I'm just thinking like climbing Kaikomagatake, you have to go completely the wrong direction from Kofu. You have like compared to the distillery, but there probably is some decent like smaller hills around there. I know there's a few waterfalls and stuff around there that you can go and visit as well.
Oh yeah, nice.
But yeah, cool. It's Kofu's a great like sort of weekend away.
Haven't done it.
Oh, there's some. I mean, if you can drive, especially, yeah, get up there for a weekend. Couple of nice ryokans in and around Kofu.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and then just some lovely areas to that you can reach by car. Yeah. Cool.
I was trying to find a way to segue this. So speaking of like in-depth knowledge about Japan and giving advice into the depth and beauty of all of the things you can do here.
Nick is always on the clock.
Yeah.
I think it's time for Section A, educating Greg on the joy of these Jvloggers. Because after a while, like you've been doing it for about this is your third episode now, and when you go through clipping everything, you do tend to find that you skip a bit, but you get so much of a character just watching a few videos.
I don't know. I probably haven't watched enough. The main thing that keeps going through my head when I'm watching these is who actually watches them, like, and why do people actually watch them?
The funny thing about who I'm segueing into, again, being Daniel Lord, perennial favourite, I nearly said.
The first one I watched.
Cheesecake. Yeah. I had Flavor Town on mind.
That's Guy Fieri.
Yeah, but, Daniel will bring you to Flavor Town with his cheesecake. Yeah. You just kind of, you learn a little bit, whether it's on Reddit, whether it's social media or anything like that. But the funny thing with Daniel Lord, I was talking to my brother, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do a guy called Hiding in My Room. And he's like, Daniel Lord? We're obsessed. He and his partner were absolutely obsessed with him. And he gave me about 1.5 pages of dot points because they obsessively hate watch him from Australia.
Right.
So is that what it is? I mean, because you got me into Chris Chan.
Yeah.
And I watched that. Yeah, I watched that.
Thank God he's not a Jvlogger.
Oh my God!
I know. Give it time. Give it time.
I mean, we
Chris Chan doesn't believe that there actually is a country outside of Ruckersville, Virginia.
Okay.
I mean, this is why we wouldn't be able to cover him. He's just too big.
Yeah. Once the convergence happens and Quickville merges with Our Reality,
no,
everything will become Quickville.
Time out. This is an official cock timeout. We're not talking about Christian. This is not a Christorian podcast.
Okay, but I just wanted to to bring it back. Is it the same sort of thing where you're just sort of like you're fascinated, stroke disgusted, and like. And
funny how you said stroke. Yes.
That was not
intentional.
To be honest, it's almost exactly the same thing, because with some of the bigger Jvloggers who have been a source of ire and fascination for years, like Venus Angelic, like Canada Gin, like Daniel Lord, they've been catalogued for years. Like on day by day, there'll be people on the now departed Pretty Ugly Little Liars, which I believe there are backups around. We've been able to actually get some information just via the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
So I think we did a few things on that, to which the response was, "You're stalkers, you've been following me." And it's like, no, we just read what your stalkers wrote about you. Well, it's...
But Greg, it was your without the E, and then stalkers as in people who put items on shelves in stores.
Right. So, do you not own a stalker? I've got a couple. You can borrow one of mine if you want.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
You stalkers.
I'll send them down.
Your stalkers. There was lolcow, which still exists. It's kind of like a bit of a 4chan-y type of site, at least in terms of in format and anonymity.
And then there's Kiwi Farms still, right?
Kiwi Farms still, and Kiwi Farms does have areas to kind of catalog for Jvloggers, but lolcow actually has a specific section only for Jvloggers.
Nice.
Right.
It's like the cosplay ones for Jvloggers, for beauty bloggers, so it's almost like a refuge for the pretty ugly little liars now.
But is it so? I mean, I looked at one of the Canadian clips for this pod.
Oh no.
She's got 300,000 followers.
She was big. She was really big.
Yep, she
Yeah,
was.
for a long time.
Surely not all of those people are just sort of like hate watching and for.
I think she has a healthy combination of dedicated followers and hate watchers.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple big events. We'll do that in a section A for another time. She has a special place in our heart. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that could actually be a good one next week. We could go into the cataloging the history of Canada-gin.
Yeah.
But we're doing Daniel Lord this
that.
week, right?
Yes.
So this is Introduce Greg to Daniel Lord, which...
I actually found these clips within the concept of his latest video, which was talking about his own experience with racism living in Japan.
Yeah. So the arc is coming full circle because he's like now talking about, oh yeah, when I lived in Japan, but like he tweeted out recently like he wants to come back.
Yeah.
Which I think Japan should use COVID as an excuse to not allow him back.
He can't. He's not married. He doesn't have a partner visa. He doesn't have a university
Daniel
certificate
Lord
of any
is
kind.
desperate enough to fly to Korea and swim.
God bless Japan and your isolationism.
We can keep him on an island, the remnants of Dejima.
Yeah, Tsushima, right? Yeah, he could be the original ghost of Tsushima.
Hey, Jvlog lives around there for, until he moves to Saitama. Maybe you can pick him up.
Saitama, yeah.
Saitama.
All right, so let's play the first clip for Introduce Greg to Daniel Lord.
Ever since the age of 16, I had a burning desire to live in Japan, one of my favourite countries in the entire world, but I knew Japan wouldn't just let me live there without providing some kind of value to society. So I thought to myself, what can I provide to Japanese people? And then I realised I could use my native English speaking abilities to help Japanese people learn English. I thought becoming an English teacher would be my best way to secure some kind of visa so I could live in Japan. However, things didn't quite go to plan.
Sub to his OnlyFans.
Right. I mean, Nick, you came across it as an English teacher. Was it a holy calling?
Yep.
Were you righting the wrongs and bringing wholeness to society?
Yeah, unlike some Jvloggers, I don't over-aggrandize my time at Eikaiwa. I did it for about 10, 11 months or so. Like, not a long time. It was less than a year. And it was purely for the visa. Like, I think I mentioned on the show, my ex was Japanese, and, I was dating her in Australia. Visa ran out. I followed her here, did Eikaiwa work. Rest is history. It's not really a calling. They barely give you training. It's like a week at best of how to follow an instruction manual, but it really is the monkey dance. Is.
I had a week of training, and it was like, you are a white person who speaks English. That's the only requirement that there was.
I like that you almost mispronounced English
Did I?
It sounded like it. Maybe
English.
It's just the accent.
Yeah, you've been here for too long. Like, when I was doing it, there was the full kind of explanation of smile all the time, dress nicely, wear deodorant, which is apparently something they have to stress quite a lot to people who come to this country.
My training manual... My training manual was like embarrassing. It was like, hey, remember to brush your teeth and wear deodorant and wear clean clothes every day. And I was like, are we
Do these
college
people not
graduates?
have mothers? Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but honestly, my company was like totally illegal. When we had the national holiday, that was line training day, so that we all had to go train and learn how to give lessons and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, they would be like, hey, listen, so like some bigwigs at the top of the company might stop by, so make sure you look good, right? And they told us this. People still showed up with like shirts that weren't ironed and had like, fuzzies on them and stuff like that. And I was like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Like upper management might come,
We were specifically warned not to yawn in a lesson. Because they're like, for Japanese, they don't like that. It means that you're not interested. And it's like, well, what if a lesson's at like 7:30? What if they yawn 10 times?
Mm-hmm. And yet you go into a business environment and half of them are asleep.
Yes.
Like,
that is a good point.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Seeing just people at the desk, like when we had like to my last job, when we had people come across for like conferences and stuff, and have a look at my Japanese boss who'd be just lying on the desk asleep. They'd start taking photos and stuff like that.
But it means he works very hard.
Yeah, it doesn't. He was the laziest.
I think most of my co-workers were like former US military anyway, who they'd finished their stint and they just wanted to stay in the country and needed an easy way to get a visa while cashing in their retirement checks.
Right, yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they're any less miserable about the entire idea of doing eikaiwa for 30 years, but a lot of them do. Anyway, so let's go to Daniel's second clip.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Don't exactly look like your stereotypical English man. You see, when applying for English teaching jobs in Japan, they usually ask you what your nationality is, and when you tell them that you are British, they usually automatically assume that you look a certain way. And even though England is a pretty multicultural city, Japanese people kind of have this fixed idea, this expectation of what someone from England should look like.
England is a multicultural city.
England is just one big city. It's London and countryside.
London and the rest.
Yeah. He's like, I get what he's trying to say, and probably agree with a lot of what he's trying to say. So I mean, know a lot of English teachers, know a lot of non-white English teachers. But why is he taking so long to say it? I realise.
Oh no! This is educating Greg. Daniel Lord needs to extend the video over 10 minutes so he can monetize it.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So usually what he'll do is add in cooking segments where he's, showing off his absolutely horrendous cooking skills. In this one, he's just reusing some old footage that he had where he's walking around Tokyo Drew Star, where he's just filming everyone without their consent. Right. But no matter what, he has to take the longest way around in order to put in as many ads as possible. I think he set the ads for about 3 15 seconds. What is it called when it's within a roll? But he set that within the video, and he tried to make them unskippable as well, just so he could actually try to monetize it.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really about the content then. It's about.
Again, I come back to who's watching it. Like, there's something. I don't know if like morally ambiguous is the right word, because they're not teaching anything. They're not saying anything, and then they're not really providing anything except just slight procrastination for people who, well, I imagine are too lonely to have any other human interaction.
Nick, I think Greg just hit it on the head. These people don't provide anything of substance.
Yeah.
And they have just crazy YouTube channels.
Join the Drew crew.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a crow!
I'm trying to use the soundboard more.
Yeah. There are viewers for everything. With Daniel Lord, I'm fairly certain everything he says is completely unscripted. He really just has that kind of droll, flat way of presenting a story without any kind of thought behind it. It really is a stream of consciousness.
Right.
And
But-
insane consciousness, yeah.
Yeah, he even has his own subreddit where everyone on it is dedicated towards hating Daniel.
That's basically every subreddit that's dedicated to a person, though. Like, you go on to, I don't know, like Sam Harris subreddit, and everyone hates Sam Harris on there. It's like, it's weird. It's just one of the quirks of Reddit, I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Reddit
could
is
be.
a big hater community.
Yeah. Anyway, the last clip I had is another Daniel Lord bingo item that I thought would be good to put in. Before the clip, he actually vaguely mentioned that he was at a school where there was a German teacher who would often get more lessons than him. So I think he's talking about Garber or something, because he was mentioning that the students could actually select teachers based on their photos. So I'm pretty sure that was a Garber thing. I never worked there, but I heard about it. And you had to book your own lessons. You had to try to sell yourself. And if you didn't actually fill in every slot, you didn't get paid. So, you know, it's a way that a lot of these eikaiwas can kind of stay under the radar for paying health insurance or, you know, your retirement or anything like that. It really is just an underhanded technique in order to save as much money as possible while racking in profit.
All right, here
And
we
these
go.
schools aren't cheap as well. Like a single lesson can cost as much as 8,000 yen or so, whereas the teachers are paid
Less than
1,500.
that. Dude,
Oh, I've
yeah,
heard
2,000
about
would
it.
be a dream for them. Yeah.
Eye-watering sums from some of my old workmates, the amount they were paying. Just
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually corporate contracts though. So there might be a sales team that will go in, sell 10 lessons per employee or something like that.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
they
about-
can
yeah.
go in. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's usually the way they do it. I think the sales team probably do quite a good job upselling it, and
Yeah.
most of the people who go, I got the impression during my time that they only did it in order to get off work early.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think that's
Good
true.
excuse. Yeah.
All right, here's the last clip, guys.
So I tried my best working at the convenience store. I managed to last a few months before giving up because the hours were just too long, there was too much work, the customers were just rude, and the pay was absolutely abysmal. I decided to quit my jobs at the convenience store and the kitchen, and I never got a job in Japan ever again. I gave up on the idea of being employed, and I gave up on the idea of providing value to Japanese society. So how did I survive in Japan without a job, you might be asking? Well, to keep a long story short, I went on to Tinder and I went on a few dates, and I met this Japanese lady who was very interested in learning English. And we met up, had a few dates, and she seemed to really like me, and I thought she was pretty okay as well. One night we went to karaoke and we had some drinks, and that sparked a night of passion. She wanted me to move in with her, and she said I could stay without paying any rent, on one condition, that I help her learn English. I agreed to her conditions, and I packed my bags from the guest house and moved hastily into her one-room apartment. And there we lived together for several months.
That was really weird. That went from him just explaining just what a lazy swine he is to some kind of romance novel. Like,
Yeah.
in the space of 30 seconds, it was quite incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole concept that he only worked for a very limited amount of time, and I think he worked in a convenience store for about a year or so. Somebody correct me in the Discord if not. But he quit, dated around for free rent, eventually got married to what I presume is additional free rent, and he tends to attract people who are significantly older. So in the last episode, or was it last or the one before? Yeah, the marriage one. He was, essentially cuckolding a married man by sleeping with his wife nearly every second night or something like that. Mm-hmm. And he dropped that the woman now must be about 40 years old. Yeah, the same age as my wife. So of course he's saying those, references while he was still married. But that's his entire thing. He came here and he married somebody who he believed would take care of him, or probably had a little bit of that mothering, nurturing instinct. And I think for a lot of the young men who come here, they've come fresh out of university or language school quite young, and they find older women because they're essentially undeveloped. They kind of have this weird Oedipus complex where they're trying to fling themselves to somebody older who will take care of them.
And they need to be told to brush their teeth and put on deodorant.
Well,
yeah,
and these are the
women. These are the women who are also intentionally going after these men as well, because they're a little bit older.
Yeah,
they may be wanting kids quite quickly.
I always call those women like the wilted flowers, and there's a lot of them in Japan. Maybe they're actually too old to have kids even. There's a that's another whole episode.
I mean, the term in Japan is, of course, the pretty horrendous Christmas cake.
But Christmas cake, 26 is not that old. Okay, I'm talking like
Christmas cake.
I've never heard Christmas cake.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Christmas cake is the idea that you want to celebrate Christmas, and in Japan, there's the really weird idea of a Christmas cake. That you get your KFC chicken, you order your cake week in advance from one of the convenience stores, and you enjoy it together. Usually on the 24th, on the 25th it's okay, but after the 25th, it's no good.
Oh,
yeah. So when you turn 26, you're no longer wanted Christmas cake. No, 26 is not. I met my wife; she was older than the 26. But like I'm saying. The wilted flowers are like the women who are over 35 and who have never been married, and now they're in 30. They're kind of like, hey, what are we? And 35 is like, any injection will do.
And I just need a kid.
Yeah, it's whenever you hear the sports commentary where it's like a 35-year-old athlete on the film, and it's like a modern miracle held up by science, ancient.
I will say though, during that clip did actually answer the question I was sort of asking before, which is what are they providing, what are they doing, and basically Daniel Lord started off the whole thing saying like, no, I quit that job, and I decided to give up on ever contributing anything useful to society.
That's gonna be your pussy farting real soon, bitch.
And that's what he did.
So I became a YouTuber. Yeah.
Yep. He's both an incel and a Chad. He really is an anomaly. I can't...
Yeah. He has characteristics from both.
The dude slays. Like, he was going around Europe, and he had the story of a Turkish girl who was a fan, whom he slept with as well. Even with his kind of weird demeanor and his very off kind of candor and sense of, presenting himself, the dude pulls.
I mean, it probably helps to have slight sociopathic tendencies, maybe.
Which is why women, are really into murder mystery podcasts.
That's
please tune into our new podcast.
That's your dating advice, Nick.
Yeah.
Please tune into our new podcast, Cock Murder Mysteries.
No, it's
or Murder by Cock.
I was going to say the Hansai podcast.
That makes sense.
I was going to go into a Japan Life thread this week. Maybe we won't speak about it in too much detail just because we kind of touched on a lot of the points. But, really following on from last week's episode where we did talk a little bit about divorce and cheating in this country, there was a massive thread on Japan Life this week about somebody's highly abusive wife and the process that he's trying to go through getting out of that arrangement. And he kind of uses the gaijin bingo a little bit.
Yeah.
She is 7 years older, but he didn't know her age when they started dating.
Hey, man, that happens sometimes, okay?
Yeah. Highly
But you don't
aggressive.
marry him.
Yeah, locks him out of a house, very financially controlling. And this is kind of a story that you see time and time and time and time and time again. So it almost is the gaijin marriage / divorce bingo card that we can go through.
But Nick,
I didn't believe
Greg,
it.
This is what happens when you have like the guy who needs the mom, the weeb, the one who can't stand up for himself.
Yeah.
This is what happens. They marry these domineering folks, okay? They marry these domineering women, and then they get dominated, and they're like, oh, man, I wish they would let me have half a pizza, and they don't. Callback, but
Nice.
Nothing but net.
I don't know. I couldn't believe that story. I mean, there's so much just tripe.
I can believe it.
Banded around on
I can
Reddit,
believe it. I can
can.
believe it as well. Yeah.
Because I've met this man before, like not this particular man, but like this set of characteristics, like personality traits. I've met this person. They got the 2 kids. Oh, well, we were arguing a lot, so it's better that mom and dad aren't together. It's like, no, that's not true.
But it was stuff like she wouldn't let him drink water and told him when to go to the toilet and wouldn't let him sit on the sofa. I think one of the comments on the thread was like, he's basically pretending he's a dog. And I was like, as soon as I was like, yes. I mean, there's just, to me, Reddit is just an unfiltered, concentrated nonsense.
I knew we picked the right guy when we picked Greg.
But the thing is, it's still entertaining because the only way you can approach Reddit is just by utter sort of nihilistic optimism.
It's a buyer beware kind of thing.
Yeah.
You always have to treat all of these threads with a sense of caution and a little bit of I guess what's the word I'm looking for?
Skepticism.
Yeah. But yeah, this one also ticked for boxes. The wife didn't work. He was the sole provider. She would constantly scream "shine" at him or die. But I had an upstairs neighbor in my last apartment building who was like that. She, every couple of days, would scream at the top of her lungs, and it would actually blast its way into my apartment via the ducted aircon. And she would do that kind of thing as well. You would hear slaps, you would hear things crashing, you would hear screams of "shine." I can believe it just because I've heard it in my last apartment building. I actually have a recording somewhere. I should dig it out.
Oh, I mean, like for Greg and I later, but
yeah.
We need some material for the Spank Bank. But anyway, so Reddit, don't trust it.
No.
Yeah.
The only way to approach it is just take the mick out of everyone on there. Because
pretty much.
It's just a torrent of tripe.
Yeah. Good point.
I like how British you said that. You are a true England man, full of tripe.
England man. Yeah.
England man.
Come
says
to speak
from the city of England.
All right, let's run into B segment here, guys.
Yeah. So we were really kind of looking at how we could kind of lead on from our kind of series of themes, and especially leading into how we can dismantle or disassemble a lot of the misinformation that comes here in the from the Jvlogger sphere, and if we can find it from Reddit as well. But we wanted to kind of look at a lot of people's opinions on work-life culture here, and how a lot of people do get stuck into the idea that everyone just works all the time. There's a lot of hikikomori and needs. Nobody wants to work like their parents, but there's still the senpai-kohai relationship. There's still a lot of those kind of talking points that everyone suddenly becomes an expert on Japanese working culture, even if they're just eikaiwa or, jet program or anything like that. But they feel that they're more knowledgeable than somebody who has actually worked within companies.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. So, Speaking of somebody who's never really worked, our first clip is from Sam, right?
Yep, friend of the show.
Yeah.
Friend of the show. Recently booted me out of his Discord again. Not even in, I wasn't in the Discord. I was just in the, please introduce yourself, and didn't do that much. And he booted me out. So, Sam, I'm offended.
And when it comes down to it, Japan might be so far ahead when it comes to other parts of the world, but one thing that Japan really has a hard time respecting, especially at a high corporate level, is life and death, literal life and death. You know, like people can be working for like 30 fucking years at a company, and you know something big happens that involves a relative possibly dying, and the company doesn't give a shit. In fact, they'll either demote that person or they'll fire that person, and that's a big deal in Japan.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah. So, have you ever had like a relative die in your company?
Yes.
Like, hey, I heard
I've had a few relatives die whilst I've been working at actual companies here.
And
you
didn't
got
get
demoted?
fired?
No. They're like, oh, your family clearly doesn't show the heartiness. They did not live until 100 years old. We cannot trust you.
right.
What the fuck is he talking about?
So okay, I'm gonna give him the benefit here. Like I have a feeling he's missed out just a massive chunk of information there. I don't know if it was bad editing or whatever, but I have a feeling that he meant to say that, I don't know, if you take off a month of work for mourning, or if you go into sort of a spat of depression and your work starts to suffer, then maybe your work won't take into account that someone has just died. But the fact that he just completely missed all of that out, if that's what he meant to say, and just basically said, yeah, if your nan dies, you get fired. And that's a big deal in Japan.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, usually Sam takes way too much time to get to his point. This time, he arrived too early. He was premature, and he got it wrong. So,
God bless the guy.
Yeah, because most companies here, even like back home, they tend to give you about 3 days, might give you a bit more, but they're like, take your holiday leave. You haven't taken holiday in a while.
Yeah.
Usually a week would be pretty common. If it's like a wife or,
it depends on the relative.
Sibling, it depends on the relative.
Right, but
if it's
usually there's a
grandma
week of grievance leave, yeah.
Yeah, if it's like a grandparent or an uncle or a cousin or a friend. If it's a friend, they probably give you less time, even if it is emotionally devastating. You could probably choose to take some of your PTO. If it is like a very close relative, then they're probably going to be a lot more understanding. And especially with the Japanese government kind of getting a lot more into the idea that corporate relations do impact mental health and suicides in this country, there might be a little bit more of a push. I'm pretty sure that it depends on the industry. Not everybody works in, let's say, tech or IT or things like that. It could just be that a lot of the traditional companies, construction, a lot of the Barakukigo real estate companies potentially, those are the ones who probably are less understanding, and people would probably just gum on through the entire thing.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, again, there's a big asterisk against that point.
there's a huge yeah.
But speaking of gammon, our next clip.
Oh, mate. Okay, so Jay, you've heard this clip, right? Obviously, you clipped it. Nick, you haven't.
I have not.
Okay. I can't wait to hear. I have a feeling you're going to have the same reaction as me.
This isn't even my favorite one, but it's a good one.
No.
So,
but.
So speaking of gammon and powering through so many things. So first, Greg, she's going to be next up on your Introduce a Jvlogger segment next week.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Canada Gin 3, friend of the show, absolutely loves us. Wanted her episode all to herself, but we had to share it with everybody. Here we go.
But in Japan, people work for the post company. They don't complain about their wages. And this is with anything. Like, you often find examples of people in Canada protesting about their wages, when in reality they get really high wages. Like, I remember when the TTC protested, and that was a big issue because I had to miss work. I couldn't get paid. Where's my money? And they were protesting because their wages were like $21 an hour. What? $21 an hour? Okay, sit down and do your job. How about you work for 10 cents in China or in some countries where they don't get paid that because you privileged?
That is maximum Canuck going on there.
Oh yeah, and she's got the woke Canadian, obviously anti-Chinese bent on her. There's so much to love.
Jay, you think? See, I don't think that's woke at all.
Really?
I think no.
She's asleep?
No, she's anti like trade union. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's completely okay. So right, I'm from a family of hippies in the UK, basically. But I mean, to be frank, I've got a lot of friends who basically wake up every morning and pray to a poster of Margaret Thatcher.
That's a little extreme.
I know which
I
one
went
as well.
to a British public school, of course I do. But the thing is, like, even the most ardent, like, cold-hearted capitalists of my friends would not agree that the Japanese model is the one that we should be following. Like
No.
even the Japanese government are trying to change, like, and have less emphasis on work.
Yeah.
Here.
Question for you two gentlemen: Have you
Yes.
ever partaken or were given the opportunity to partake in a Premium Friday?
Yes, I was.
I was told to go fuck myself in not so many words.
No, I after that young Dentsu employee threw herself off the top of a company dormitory, which, for those who don't know, I think it was around 2016, Christmas Eve, I believe. There was a young.
So the Christmas cake was still good. Okay, bad taste, but let's go.
No, it was good. It was
I'll accept it.
Under the wire, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm choking back tears at the moment. But this young, newly hired employee, I think she'd only been working at the company for a year or so, was complaining about the excessive overtime at Dentsu, which is, for those who don't know, the largest advertising company here. They own a lot of media, very, very powerful. If you work for them, you will probably be expected to work for life for them. It's that kind of company where there's a lot of prestige. Your family would probably be quite happy, and you'd be expected to put in a lot of effort to kind of show that reverence and respect for the company that chose to hire you out of everyone they could have hired. Massive amounts of prestige at that company. So this girl, she was working quite hard, supporting a lot of senior managers who, there was a lot of power hada going on where she was bullied quite often. She'd work very late, come into the office looking tired, where they'd comment on her appearance and her makeup. And there's actually her old Twitter feed, which shows her slowly devolving mental state, where she started getting a bit more unstable as the months would go by, and it culminated in her just saying, I'm going to kill myself, and she did. But of course, because this was a young woman and this was so public, where she was actually specifically documenting all of this power hada on her Twitter feed, it got a lot of heat for the Abe government, who had to do something about it. So they're like, okay, maybe our company working culture isn't doing so well. Maybe we need to do some changes. What can we do? The last Friday of the month, you can leave at 3:30.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Very
And
much.
nobody participated in it.
Yeah,
Almost
yeah.
nobody. Yeah.
So I was at a company which chose to implement it. I think they were relatively progressive, but even then, nobody would do it. This is a company where people would still be in the office until midnight, when the shutters had all gone down. Like, they'd just be constantly working. And there was times when I was working there where it would be 1, 2, 3 a.m. and there'd still be people in the office. It was just an insane kind of work-life balance, which does not do good for your mental health. It really doesn't. But I made the actual choice just to push ahead and just say, I'm leaving. Why? It's Premium Friday. It's my right. It's in. We have emails from HR saying we can do this.
It's in the Japanese constitution.
Yeah, it's like, well, probably not. But, I got a lot of eyebrows raised. But again, when you're a full-time regular employee, there's a lot of stability there, and you can kind of sometimes make those choices, I think. Even if they are unpopular.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, you can get away with it as a gaijin, especially in a Japanese company.
Yeah.
I mean, they because it's just sort of said, well, that's what you do,
It is your obligation, essentially, to being a rebel rouser.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But bringing this back to Canada, Jin, who named this Know Your Place Slave?
It is. It's just, I don't know, like, there was just something about it. It really so I could basically watch this and I can see why Cam's arsehole blew out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real sort of staring into the abyss kind of thing, isn't it? Like,
I think it's the stream of consciousness that you get through a lot of these Jvloggers. And the thing is, I think because most of them set out to individually become a personality, whether or not they collaborate sometimes, they very rarely do it as a group or a team. So there's not a lot of dissenting voices going on. So because of that, there's no one saying, what you're saying is complete bullshit. It is really kind of fucked. Why don't you go back and edit or maybe redo some sections? But no, because the ego is involved and they're like, well, people like what I say. I have 300,000 subscribers. They just go ahead with it.
Well, okay, so the thing, I mean, nothing to do with Japan. It's to do with Canada. But I had a look into that, like, TSS, is it TSS strike?
TTC or what?
TTC, sorry, TTC strike that she was talking about. And, like, first of all, okay, so I did the maths on, working for $21 an hour, which is less than what they get in Japan for driving a bus. You can barely live on that in Toronto because the rent is, on average, I think the average rent is $2,000 a month.
Holy cow, in Toronto?
Yeah. So
who the hell wants to live in Toronto?
Yeah. So you can barely live on that. The other thing as well, like, okay, I'd really question why she wants to pluck unemployed people off the street and stick them behind a wheel of a vehicle carrying basically 40 passengers for minimum wage.
Well, we know that Canada Jin, her employment was probably less than legitimate in Japan. Especially if you subscribe to our Patreon on the $5 tier and over. We have a friend who spills the beans on what potential work she was doing.
Very nice. Yeah.
Nice. See how I did that?
Yeah.
A little bit of
little upsell. Very nice.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
But
moving on. This next clip here. Who would have thought Light Smith would have been the voice of reason on this podcast?
I know.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
And if you're in the wrong job and you think, I want to go to Japan, Japan is going to make me happy, that is not the answer. First, what do you really want to do in life? If you don't know, like, try different things.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Light now, is this one of the recent ones where he's bald?
No,
this is an old one.
Yeah, I think like 4 months ago, if I remember right. But yeah, it's not recent. No.
Yeah, he's kind of going guru a little bit recently. And Light, I know you've commented on our video for you, and if you're still watching, I'll get back to it at some stage. But it seems like he's kind of going a little bit more introspective on his videos lately.
Like he's going Tony Robbins style, or
no, more like South African Zen Buddhist monk who has lived here for a little bit too long.
I mean, I watched the rest of that clip. It was like, I don't know, it was fine if you're into that sort of thing. But I just I heard that little clip and I was like, yeah, that's a nice like couple of sentences summation that I think can't be repeated often enough.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I realize how often I start sentences with "I think," but he does tend to put a lot of emphasis in the idea that you shouldn't put work above anything else. And I watched a little bit more about that video. But in Japan, they tend to, and as in most countries, you tend to derive a lot of your identity from your work. So it's, your hobby is your work. You tend to really put them out front. But in Japan, it really is that work is your first family, it is your hobby, and it is your identity. And that still exists to a massive extent.
Yeah.
So I think if foreigners wanted to become part of that culture, you can certainly try. You probably won't be the most accepted.
I think that the culture is changing, but not at the rate that's healthy.
Yeah. And I think, and as I mentioned, I keep opening sentences with "I think."
Yeah, stop thinking so much, goddammit.
And then stop commenting on thinking.
Well, if you're at a gaishke, I think it's a lot easier for you to kind of ingratiate yourself further with the company because there's more of a foreign element. But if you're at a real dental techie kind of company, it's probably going to be a lot harder for you to really get into that business culture.
Yeah. I think you're right. So we have a series of clips coming up here, guys. This is the first time we clipped the Anime Man.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I have never, ever been to his channel, his podcast. Oh, I did see his girlfriend's "This is our apartment" video, but that's it.
The Anime Man is probably on the better side of Jvloggers, and probably the entire Trash Taste guys are probably on the better side. I won't say that I go out of my way to listen to them, but they actually have a podcast where they're trying to be entertaining as a group, as a team, similar to what we're doing. So there's more of a element of, you know, discourse going on rather than just I'm the famous one. They've got their own channels for that. So they're using Trash Taste
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that voice actor guy and Gaiguk. And Gaiguk makes interesting videos, well edited if you're into anime. If you're not, then that's about it. But
and Sid Snap is a total perv. Love her channel.
Yeah, she does the whole hentai thing and, you know, pervy hotels.
No, but she literally does hentai. She reviews and I don't know if she translates it as her job or something like that, right?
Maybe.
She actually has to edit her YouTube video so like she can't show what she's discussing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So a deviant like you and the Minion.
No, not at all. Not at all. I watched the interesting videos I watched with her. She was trying a little too hard, I think. The video I saw with her was the most recent one was she went to a Muscle Girls bar. Which
I have been retargeted that from Instagram.
Yeah, so I have no doubt. And then the other one was just like, I don't know if these girls were like porn stars or something, but they would like talk dirty and do all sorts of crazy stuff. It's like a different type of girls bar. But she keeps on going to girls bars and playing like the, am I possibly a lesbian angle? And like, we know you're engaged,
a guy who would do that would be pervy and kind of weird and, you sex pat. But if a girl does it, then
it's twice as bad.
Providing a service. And,
yeah. All right, let's go to the Anime Man.
So in this episode of What the Fuck Japan, we will be dissecting and exploring the ins and outs of karoshi, and why it is, in fact, a bigger problem than we all think it is. But it's a little bit of a big, broad, serious subject matter, and I couldn't do it on my own. So I decided to grab my good friend and culture expert, Gaijin Goomba, to help me through this rather bumpy ride. Take it away, Gigi.
Thanks, Joey. Well, as some of you may know, before I started making YouTube videos, I was actually in the Japan Exchange and Teaching program in Mie Prefecture for 2 years. Basically, it was my job to both teach English in a high school setting and also create some diplomatic relations on a grassroots level in the community that I lived in. So of course I got to know my co-teachers and experienced what it was like to work within a Japanese environment. And let me tell you, it was rough.
Dude, my anus clenched when I saw when I was editing this clip. I was like, oh,
your gaijin tumor.
Jesus.
You knew it was coming. Like as soon as he starts describing his job, you're like, it's coming.
Greg, did you know that he was in the JET program in Mie Prefecture for 2 years?
I do now.
Yeah,
and I feel
you do every fucking video because he never lets you forget it.
And not only as a teacher, but as a diplomat.
Nick, did you know I was a grassroots diplomat / ALT teacher in Mie Prefecture from 1997 to 1999?
At 2 different schools. This guy's an expert. He worked in 2 different work environments.
Look, he laid the foundations that allowed all of us to come here.
Yeah.
Because of his work with a bunch of teachers in Mie Prefecture who probably couldn't communicate with him and he couldn't communicate with them, I am able to work until 1 a.m. sometimes.
Yes.
I mean, you just feel like he came here 100 years too late because he could have prevented Pearl Harbor.
If only.
Yeah.
If only.
And you know how? Graphic tees.
Fuck. I was about to say. Good. Okay. So that was my favorite clip of the night. because I actually had a visceral reaction when I was clipping it.
It's just, yeah. I don't think we need to say any more.
He doesn't just do it on his own channel. He does it on other channels.
Yeah, he's
and
a virus.
You know that he does this in real life as well.
So he's COVID-17.
Is there a Gaijin Gumba drinking game? Because there really should be.
You know what? Business opportunity, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Business opportunity. All right, let's move on to the next anime man / GG clip here.
Well, hang on a sec there, Joey, because I personally don't think this is anything new at all. The concepts of putting your work before your personal life dates all the way back to Japan's feudal caste system of emperor and shogun, then daimyo, then samurai, then the artisans and merchants, and then the peasants. The idea is that you would place your daimyo over your own personal interests and your time, and in turn, the daimyo would take care of you and your family for the rest of your lives. The only thing that's happened here is daimyo are now CEOs, samurai are now middle managers, and peasants are now salarymen. The times may have changed, but the mentality has not. And while that seems like a horrible way of life from a Western perspective, remember that Japan is a society focused on the greater good of the group, not just the individual. But the problem of karoshi is a big personal problem, and it extends far and beyond the individual. It's not the death of an overworked salaryman. It is the center of a web of problems that, in my opinion, are the driving force behind much of Japan's social problems. I think back to the Taikasai Sports Festival or the Bunkasai Culture Festival with my kids. These were huge events with the families of the students very much encouraged to come. But in my 2 years of working in 2 different schools, not once did I ever see one of my kids' dads show up.
Okay, completely pointless analogy at the start. Like, I think he just wanted to list all of the like the feudal Japanese names that he knows.
Yeah, he just wanted to say samurai. I mean,
Yeah,
we know
daimyo.
we know this guy is an expert at ninja stars, so
Yes.
Yeah.
he focuses on such minimal points of current Japanese culture as trying to compare it to ancient times. Sure, the culture probably adapted from that, but you can't just say it's a one-to-one relationship where the daimyo are now CEOs. Like, this is their feudal serfdom, and you were just the peasants. Like, okay, you can say that with any fucking country. You can
Exactly.
any country. Like, England, you could say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So what is his point?
The feudal lords are now the Richard Bransons of the world. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, no shit.
And the honeys that work at Virgin Active, those are the peasants.
Yeah. I mean, because really, so the work system is very unique here, in that you can't. I mean, because this is something that I was going to bring up in the Canadian clip, is that you can't complain here, because then it just makes your life harder.
Yeah.
So the Canadians, they can complain, they can go on strike. You can't complain here, it makes your life harder. You can't quit your job here very easily, because then you're seen as disloyal and unreliable. Exactly, and you're not hardworking. So basically, I mean, this whole sort of karoshi stuff and the suicides, I don't know how true the relationship is, but the highest suicide rates happen around March, April, May in Japan.
Right.
And supposedly, I mean, there possibly a relationship could be drawn, because that's when everyone discovers when and where they're working. So because they start their new job in April, and they basically get told, right, you're going to be paid this amount for the rest of your life, and you're going to work for this amount for the rest of your life. And if that situation sucks, then you can't complain, you can't quit. You've got one option, which is to jump in front of a train.
Yeah, and the anime man was actually making more nuanced points about it. He wasn't just talking about, feudalism and how that relates to modern society. It was talking about things like the relationship between time spent in the office and your loyalty compared to the efficiency that you can actually have. It's not a matter of how much work you can get done. It's just sitting your ass down, which we all know about.
Yeah, I mean, I had a number of schedules. Like, we had something where we had like every other Friday off. We called it the 980 schedule. It was actually adopted from the U.S. government. So every other weekend was a 3-day weekend. But I worked at 2 different companies that had this schedule. And one of them decided, okay, on certain programs, we're going to run a different type of schedule. And that's just the regular 40 hours a week schedule, right? And so they started to do that. And then they quickly went back because they decided, hey, you know what? We're only getting like 5.5 hours of work out of a person for every 8 or 9 hours anyway. So we may as well just give people the every other weekend is a 3-day weekend because that's a benefit to people and it attracts people that we want to hire. So like you can work for 8 hours, but like you're only going to get like 5 hours of actual work out of somebody.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and it doesn't matter if you stay for 16 hours. If you stay for 16, maybe you'll get 6.5 hours out of somebody. The longer you stay in the office, the less actually gets done.
Yeah.
And that's true, I think, across all cultures.
Yeah.
It's just you can only be in one place for so long.
Yeah. There's never 9 or 10 hours of work in one day. Sometimes you're required at meetings, especially if there's time zone differences. But
right.
You're not just flat tack the entire day.
Yeah, there's it's not happening. It's not. It's God, man. At my company, the number of meetings I have to go to that are totally. Yeah, there are meetings I have to go to that like I just have to be seen there. I don't say a goddamn word.
So I had a lesson with my Japanese teacher a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that we were discussing there is that one of the newest biggest growth industries in Japan now, where people are going to work, is farming. And it's because supposedly a lot of young people are moving out of the city, going to the countryside because they can work from home. But because all their job is attending meetings, and that's all they have to do. They don't have to contribute anything to the meeting. They just have to attend.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're just logging onto the meeting on Zoom or Skype or whatever it is, going off and tilling the earth for a couple of hours, coming back in and then logging off.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
It makes
because
sense.
they don't have their cameras on. They don't. Yeah. They're not. They're not required. If they contribute something, then their boss will get angry with them. So all they're doing is just logging on, going off, doing another job, and then coming back. It's amazing.
Yeah. Until they get promoted based on age, and they'll have to go into the office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many meetings are just like, okay, so this is our weekly status meeting, and there are 68 people in here.
Yeah.
And you're like, do I need to be here? Because, like, nobody will notice. There's so many people in this Zoom meeting that, like, you know, who cares if I'm here or not? And so, like, I log in for 5 minutes, and then, you know, my name is on the list, and then, like, I'll just slowly log out low key. Like, nobody knows how long I stayed.
Yeah.
But my name is on the attendee list at the end, so it's like, okay, fine.
You cunning weasel, Jay.
It's not. I could stay there and listen to everything they have to say.
Yeah,
there are programs being run in different departments that I don't interface with.
Yeah.
So why am I even invited to this?
Yeah.
Well, the department head wants you to be there. Well, the department head's kind of a fucking idiot. So fine, I'll log in and log out.
You keeping this bit in the podcast?
Oh, I'm gonna keep it in, man.
All right,
we got one more. We got one more.
My last clip was some kind of actual analysis, just as a bit of a palate cleanser.
Yes,
okay, nice.
from somebody who calls himself the anime man. Here we go.
And the societal pressure of doing everything your senpai says might be a valid reason for karoshi. Because think about it, if your senpai tells you to stay back and continue working, or to do their work for you, then you kind of don't have a choice. When I was in your age and your position, I did the exact same thing for my senpai. So now that I'm your senpai, you have to do the exact same thing. While looking at it on the surface, this may seem like a valid reason to push all your work towards your kohai. At the same time, it's slightly bullshit. I think a workplace should be the hub of teamwork, where everybody does their best to help each other get the job done quickly and efficiently. Get it done in the best way possible in the most minimal amount of time.
Yeah, makes okay sense to me.
You can dream a dream, but this is Japan.
Yeah, there's always the one or two people in a company that, do the majority of the work, and, a couple of people just kind of coasting along. He said it somewhere earlier in the clip, and he called it a fucked up popularity contest, where it really just is, you kind of get more opportunities if you just be seen more in the office, and
Right.
that is to an extent true as well. I think it is changing, and whenever Gaijin Goomba talks about how he thinks culture in Japan is changing for the better, I think you have to take it with a bit of a grain of salt as well. You can't just
Wait. First and foremost, he's not here, so he has no idea what he's talking about. So that's my
he
grain of
hasn't
salt.
been here. I mean, his ninja skills must be getting really rusty by now.
I know. I don't think there's a shuriken range in Dallas, Texas. But
I mean, if he's looking for PR, he's gonna really let himself down on that section of a test.
Nice.
Anyway, moral of the story is work hard, play never.
Yeah, that's all work and no play makes Aoki a splattered corpse on a train track.
It's true.
Yep. The Yamanote
Maybe we can
very
do
good.
suicide in a bleak Halloween episode.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
One of my favorite episodes was our Halloween episode. I want to do
Ghost
another
Maps
Halloween.
Japan.
Yeah.
They
you know
haven't
what?
posted since.
They haven't. Did we kill him?
Well, let me check.
Will they come back from the dead? Ooh. I think they did all the video recording in the summers. So it's
Hope
summer
it's
now.
coming back. Their last video was 9 months ago, so
Yeah, I guess not.
I'm sure we can find a few. There's been a few recommendations we've got to. I think
we got a
there was
couple.
one account called Shivers, who is I think a British girl who has not an OnlyFans or something. Maybe she does, but she does a lot of bikini kind of unboxing vids in Japan, and she sometimes goes to these kinds of haunted love hotel type of things.
In her bikini?
No, but with her foxtail. Like, she walks around with a foxtail. I saw her in a few of Phoenix's videos as well.
Only in Japan. Okay.
Only in Japan, yeah. It's just, look how quirky I am. I'm in my mid-30s with a foxtail.
The correct answer is satisfied.
That's right, Ryan Boundless.
Nice.
All right. Let's close for the evening, guys.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Please go to our website, kingofkanto.com. In the upper right-hand corner, for just a few more days, you can still vote on our Season 1 King of Kanto.
How am I doing on that? Am I actually up there?
You are winning. No, your name is not amongst the illustrious
But you promised.
I
Actually, one other point.
No, you didn't really.
Yeah. Next recording is our 1 year.
June 22, right?
Yeah, the episode will release on our 1 year. So
I thought we were
going
to do like a live call-in show.
I think we should.
Yeah,
let's
I'm okay
try.
with
Let's
that.
try to get that going.
Yeah, let's figure out how to do that without doxing us. So that's going to take some research. But yeah, let's do that. Okay, so 1 year anniversary live call-in show. Sounds cool to me. What else are we doing here? We got King of Kanto Pod 1 on Twitter. You can interact with us there. We have the King of Kanto podcast Instagram, where you can see Nick's wonderful thumbnails for every show. And then we also have our Gmail address, kingofkantopodcast@gmail. Go ahead, drop us a line if you feel so inclined. We need to talk to our Patreons. Thank you to our Patreons in the $1 tier. We have 5am Matsuya, Chomps McGill, Chris A. UK, Goblet Slayer, Gaijin Cool, Gay Elliot Roger, Hilsey, Hugh James, Joe Murdoch, Johanna, Jonathan R., Luke, MJ Worldwide, Nicholas Watson, Onomichi Guy 1, That Lithuanian, Yasamito, and Young Greg. In the $5 tier, we have Cool Kids Drink Canned Chardonnay, Eelboob, FDG, King Ghidorah 7000, and Ninjaru 88. Thank you.
All I'm thinking about now is trying to make the thumbnail out of Logan Paul showing that dead body.
That would actually make sense. That would make more sense than him actually making that video.
Yeah, or fighting
17
Mayweather.
years. Yeah. As long as we can get a reaction out of Gaijin Goomba, I'm down with it.
Yeah,
So what we should do is you should have like him showing the body, but it's actually Gaijin Goomba.
Ooh, nice one.
Okay, all right. Just that one's for free. That one's for free. I disavow any and all copyright to that idea. Okay. All right. I think that'll do it for tonight, gentlemen. Anything?
Yeah.
Any last words before Karoshi?
No. Just take your shoes off, basically.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, and jump in front of like a not important train line. Don't inconvenience everybody.
So do you? I don't know if you want to add this or not, but do you know the cheapest train line to jump in front of?
The least
In Japan?
expensive?
Yeah, because you know if you jump in front of a train, then your family get a bill for the cleanup.
Right.
There's a competition for how cheap it is, huh?
Well, if there's an algorithm that they use, they'll work out like how far the blood has splattered, and then use that, and then determine how much your family has to pay. But it's
it's
also
by minute, I believe.
it's also dependent on the train line, and apparently the cheapest train line in the Tokyo area is the Odakyu line.
Yeah.
So that
Really?
one
I love
has
the
most
Odakyu line.
Yeah, when someone like sort of goes, well, I'm going to kill myself. It's going to be devastating for my family, so the least I can do is jump on the cheaper train line to make sure they don't get too big a bill.
Well, that's dark.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the most expensive would be the Oedo set because you got to like go to the 7th layer of hell to get down there to clean everything up.
And by that stage, you've had enough time to think and probably just
Yeah,
be like,
yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah. Whereas the Odakyu line, you're in. I don't know. You're in the
Open air.
midst of. You're in Machida as well, where you know.
Yeah, that's one of the
dreams go to
terminuses,
die
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that lighthearted note, let's get the hell out of here, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
there's a siren in the background here, guys.
Yeah, that's mine. Let's give it a sec.
Yeah, hold on a sec. It muted himself.
I need to mute myself. Actually, no, I won't mute myself so we know when it's over.
Yeah.
Oh, my posture's been so bad lately that, you know, when you start getting breathing problems just because you've been hunching forward so much?
No, you're just a fat cunt.
Yeah, I'm a fat cunt at the moment. I'll tell you what,
Correct
I've been a
answer is
real hydro
satisfied.
homie. I drank like 4 liters of water every day for the last couple of days, and I dropped.
You
like
mean vodka?
No, actual
was clear
actual
liquid.
water.
Yeah,
It was
a clear liquid. That's close to gin, vodka, whatever.
Yeah, it really flushes out a lot of the bloat though. I lost like 3 kilos.
Yeah, trust me, man.
It's your body holding onto water because all I drink is black coffee and Tory's highball.
Yeah, get rid of those carbs. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Maybe I should give it keto a shot.
Yeah,
You've been
says the
talking
guy who
that
just
up.
downed a strong zero.
Yeah.